Very
of
good.
the
So
period.
yeah, so you write a history book based on some information you have gathered by analyzing the things, some textual books or some records,
Sculptures, paintings.
sculptures, paintings, inscriptions. These are archaeological sources. Then textual sources also, you have the old Bhojpatras written, manuscripts, you have inscriptions. These are all in writing. Archaeological sources are like monuments, buildings, and then you have some oral traditions also of telling the tales. You sing and tell the tales, and one story is passed down from one generation to another. So these are some traditional sources of history based on which some facts the historians gather, and based on that they write a history book. So it is not a fiction, it is a fiction, it's a non-fiction. But on the other hand, many stories are based on some historical facts, okay, but they are an exaggeration and they are imagination. For example, if you talk about Ramayana, there cannot be a monster which is a big size monster, as tall as a huge building. That's not real. Okay, Krishna killing a huge monster in the ocean, so it's just an exaggeration. Of course the character was there in history, but now the imagination has the writer has tried to create the character larger than life and treated as god. Okay, so here this is something which you need to know. What is the difference between a history book and a story book? Now, why is it important to study history? Why do you think so? Anybody can answer the question.
Ma'am, it is important to study history because we should learn from the mistakes which our ancestors or the old people have done.
Excellent. So here, why we study history? To learn from our mistakes. When the First World War happened in the year 1914 to 1919, the people, everybody in the world, when there was such a destruction on such a large scale, everybody, realized the futility of war, that it is only going to create destruction and damage, isn't it? And they founded the League of Nations in the year 1919. But somehow the circumstances were such, and the Second World War happened. So we have to keep
And that
a record.
time,
Yeah, the circumstances led to the Second World War, and then the United Nations was formed. So we have learned something from history, that there is no use of war. We should make peace. And that is why we try to maintain peace. We always keep on spreading the message of peace and harmony among ourselves, because it is going to be very difficult if we don't follow the, we don't accept other cultures, other religions. So that was the idea. So here again, with the recorded events and those things that have happened, if when we get to know about them, we have learned from our mistakes, and we make our future better. So that is why we need to study history. Even in your school also, till your 10th grade, you must read history, because you should be aware about what happened in the world around you. Okay, so that is the reason why we study history. Then what are the sources of history? Traditional sources of history, somebody has already explained. There are three main types of sources of history as per you have studied in your previous classes: archaeological sources, literary sources, and oral traditions. Then the literary sources are further divided into secular literature and religious literature. So can anybody tell me what is the difference between secular literature and religious literature? Only Amey will answer, nobody else. Prisha, you answer now. Yes, Prisha, are you there? Is Prisha there in this meeting? Ishika, can you answer better? What is the difference between secular literature and religious literature? I told you that. Yeah.
Religious literature is writing statements of religious stuff.
Yes, like the Quran for the Muslims.
may I?
Ramayana. Yes. Yes, Omkar, you can answer.
Secular literature means it is written on something, means rocks, paintings, which explain about that
Inscriptions,
period.
yes. What about travel logs? You have learned about Hyun Sang coming to India during
Yes,
the
ma'am.
time. Yeah. So the travelers, the foreign travelers, they came to India and they traveled all across India and they wrote something. And they left these records, and they were passed down from one generation to another. And today we have these textual sources. So on the basis of what they have written, historians, they analyze and go through the whatever they have written, and then they write their own history books. Similarly, Akbarnama has been written by Akbarnama also has been written by Aine Akbari and Akbarnama. They tell us about the period of Akbar. Yes. So these are all some textual sources, and they are reliable sources. Why? Because they have been written down by somebody, and then historians, they refer to them. Similarly, when we compare them with religious literature, religious literature can be more of moral with exaggerated stories. It can be fiction also. Okay, so I have clearly explained you about the sources of history here. There are three main sources: archaeological, material remains, you observe them, you analyze them. And also there's one more thing about archaeological sources. How do we find out about the dates? Because this is what we're going to come to. We say that earth is 5.4 billion years ago, and dinosaurs at that time appeared on the earth. How the scientists were able to find out about it? Can anybody tell me?
Ma'am, by fossils.
From their fossils.
From their fossils. Okay, but how? Anybody knows? Because I explained this last year in the class. There's something which
Ma'am,
the
by the
scientists have used.
process of
Hmm?
by the process of age testing.
Yeah. How do they find out the age of any material remain? For example, there could be a monument. There could be a fossil, which was um, there, which any historian has found. And how do they find out the date of any living or non-living thing, object? Living things means those who are dead now, of course. Bones. In the burials, they have found the remains of the pots and the grains. And then you have the skeletons. Those were people who were living things from those times. And then non-living things also, rocks, minerals. How is it that we find out the date? Anybody has any idea? Okay. Now I'll let you know there's something known as carbon-14 dating. Okay, because all the things on this earth, most of the things have a carbon content in all the living and non-living things on this earth. So by there's a scientific method of finding out the date of any object which was non-living and which was living on this earth. That is how that we have been able to find out even the lifespan of the earth, also how earth was formed, and how what is the age of the earth. Am I clear here?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
Yes, ma'am.
Now,
Yes,
say here, that is why we are
Yes, ma'am.
starting with the introduction of this lesson is about dates. Why do we give so much importance to dates? Can anybody tell me? Why do we give so much of importance to dates? Why? What is the reason behind it? Children, are you able to see my shared screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Who will let me know?
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, may I answer?
ma'am, may I
Yes,
answer?
yes,
Ma'am, I
yes,
think
yes,
that-
yes.
Ma'am, dates are
Ma'am, I
important
think that
because
Ma'am, I think that dates are important because it is the proof that on this date this situation had occurred
yes,
or
they
this
tell
thing
us
has
about
happened.
a certain
Okay, very
period
good.
when the thing was actually happened,
Very good, very
when the
good. That
events.
Yeah, and you know, there is a reason behind it, how gradually events happen. Many a times it helps us in our future life also, how things have happened. That is why it is very important to find out the dates. Okay, now I have another question here, children. You, in your history books, you have, you know, stories of histories, of course, written in a form of a story, and it's based on some facts that the historians have found. So we have divided history into prehistory and history. The prehistorical period we have divided into Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic, Chalcolithic, Bronze Age, yes, and Iron Age. And then the history period we have divided into ancient, medieval, and modern, and finally today's times is known as contemporary history that the historians write. So now this is the division of history, and then we have talked about the secular and religious, fiction and non-fiction type of history. So my question to you is, when we're talking about dates, there is a certain important event that we feel is important. There is a history of every place from everywhere. I hope you're getting me. To give you a better example, right now we have the corona crisis going on. Yes. So now, of course, we have so many written, records on what is happening right now. So this is the important event of today's times, today's contemporary times. So we will give more importance to things which the humans feel are more important. But it doesn't mean that there could be any specific place which has some specific history about which we don't study. Okay, when we talk about your school level children, you only study history of those things and people, or places which we feel are important for you to know. Why is it so? Because so that you know what you need to do in your future, and you learn from that history. So let me tell you children, every place, even if you're living in Rawet or any other area, every place has its own history. It's just that we don't study the things which we don't feel important. We've studied about the Mughal period. We've studied about the Delhi Sultanate. We've studied about the ancient Harappan civilization or any other civilization. We may not give importance to any other history of any other place, because we feel in India that it is important for us to study our own history. Okay, so what I want to stress here is to make you understand that you should not stick, you should be able to think beyond what you have studied in history. If you have studied only Harappan civilization, that doesn't mean that the same kind of, at the same period, no other civilization was there in the world. Let me tell you, the children, right now in India, if Harappan civilization, during that particular time, of those times, there were 3 other contemporary civilizations in the world: Mesopotamian civilization, Sumerian civilization, then we have the Egyptian civilization and the Chinese civilization. So we should always look at history, or if we are talking about history or writing history, we should have a very, very open mind. We should not just think about our own, whatever we know or what our own surroundings are. We should not only focus on that. When we are talking about history, it has a much larger extent. Every place has its own relevant historical period. If you talk about the America and South America, we have the Incas, we have the Mayan civilizations. So just like in India, we have the Harappan civilization, all across the world, there have been various other civilizations, developing with their own lifestyle, cultures, and they have their own history. I hope this is clear to everyone why dates are important. Am I clear here? Anybody can answer.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Now I have also answered the question why history has been divided into time periods, because it's convenient for us to divide history. But dividing history, when we divide history, it applies, the same thing applies to the history of any other place also. Okay, now most important question from for this class is, what are the new sources of this? This is one of the most important question here when we're going to do the introduction of this lesson. We have talked about the three sources: archaeological, textual, and oral traditions. So when we talk about the new sources of history, children, if we look at the contemporary times, or if we talk about the industrial revolution, since from the time of industrial revolution, that is 18th century in Europe, 18th, 19th, 20th, and now 21st century. Anybody give me any example of the new sources of history?
Ma'am, currency.
Currency was there during Harappan civilization also, but I'm talking about the after the industrial revolution. Can anybody tell me when industrial revolution happened? You know about the invention of the steam engine? Yes? Who did the invention of steam engine? कौन बताएगा? हाँ?
James Bond.
What?
James Watt, he invented the steam engine. Why did he invent the steam engine? How did the steam engine help us? Anybody?
To travel far.
Not only travel,
travel.
initially it helped us. It helped the Europeans in
Travel.
establishing industries, in doing mass
Yes.
production of goods. And when you are doing mass production, you will look for markets all over so that you can sell the products. हमने बहुत सारा प्रोड्यूस बना के रख लिया है, लेकिन हमें उसके लिए मार्केट भी चाहिए उसको बेचने के लिए, और हमें नया रॉ मटेरियल भी चाहिए. So this was the age when it happened in the 18th century. तो मुझे आपको जो मेरा सवाल है वो it's from the 18th century onwards, कि अभी हमारे पास कौन से नए सोर्सेज हैं हिस्ट्री के जो कि हिस्टोरियंस देखते हैं, यूटिलाइज करते हैं, एनालाइज करते हैं और अभी की हिस्ट्री लिखते हैं. व्हाट आर द न्यू सोर्सेज? हमने पहले आर्कियोलॉजिकल सोर्सेज, मटेरियल रिमेन्स की बात की, लिटरेरी सोर्सेज की बात की, देन ओरल ट्रेडिशंस, then secular religious literature. But when we are talking about the present contemporary times, and if we start from the industrial revolution, ऐसा कौन सा नया इन्वेंशन था जिसने कि हमें और नए सोर्सेज दिए हिस्ट्री लिखने के लिए? Yes, Tanish.
Technology.
With the help of technology. सब लोग प्रिंटिंग प्रेस भूल गए हैं? Yes, was printing press there before the industrial revolution?
No.
Yeah, so now आपके पास प्रिंटिंग प्रेस है, और प्रिंटिंग प्रेस का मतलब है न्यूज़पेपर्स. पुराने जमाने में न्यूज़पेपर्स नहीं थे, यहाँ तक कि पेपर का इन्वेंशन भी नहीं हुआ था. In China, paper was invented. So children, when we talk about the new age contemporary times, we have the internet, with the satellite, we have TV, we have radio, we have plethora of sources for writing history. अभी हमारे पास overwhelming information है, इतना ज़्यादा अभी तो ये हो गया है कि क्या सही है क्या गलत है. We always look for the genuinity of the information that is passed down. So children, if we talk about the new sources, these are after the invention of the printing press, after the invention of paper, we have an ink also. Of course, we have the new sources of history. जो पुराने textual sources है, written sources है, वे inscriptions में है, coins में है. But earlier we had the Bhojpatras, जैसे leaves होते थे उसके ऊपर लिखते थे. But then after the industrial revolution, we have the printing press, and it was very easy to circulate information. Okay, so this brings us to the explanation on to the introduction. This brings the end to the introduction of this lesson, children. Okay, so now okay, let me see if anything is left here. Okay, we don't have much time here, so children, this was the introduction of this particular lesson, and from here onwards we will learn about some new things. After the Britishers, in the beginning of this, the explanation of this lesson, I talked about the 18th century and the rise of new kingdoms, children. So now after that, you already know that the Britishers and the East India Company took over, especially after the revolt of 1857, when the first Viceroy of India was appointed. Lord Canning was the first Viceroy of India. Before that, we had Governor Generals, and the first Governor General was Warren Hastings.
Warren Hastings.
Yeah, very good. So, beta, abhi I will do a activity with all of you. Here. Okay, before we do this activity, we can continue this in the next class. I want to show you a small video. Are you all ready? We have 8 minutes left. Is everyone ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Okay, let's begin.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to share the screen first. Okay, is this importance of dates slide visible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, good.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh God, how am I going to remember all these dates? It's not possible. How am I ever going to pass this history exam? How many times have you said this, wishing that remembering dates was not required to pass an exam? But dates are important. In this module, you will learn to recognize the importance of studying dates in history. History is synonymous with dates. You can't have one without the other. It's about changes that take place over a period of time. In other words, dates. A record of important incidents and events that shaped or shook the world. You will find that some events like Independence Day have a precise date associated with it. However, some events like the National Movement for Independence is not associated with specific dates as it took place over a period of time. Why then do we still associate history with dates? You see, dates by themselves are not important. They gain significance when they are associated with an important event and to slot in time one important event in relation to another.
Okay, beta, this is what I wanted to stress on here again. Dates are not very important. Dates become important when we associate them to some important events. As I was telling you, you are studying about Indian history because you are Indian citizen. So you know about them, you should be knowing about the important events in the history of India. Okay, so that is why we give importance to some specific dates only. It's not that on any other date, any other important event has not happened in any other part of the world. Okay?
This has great significance, as we can then realize how a combination of relatively insignificant events were responsible for and led to one momentous occurrence. Hence, dates are essential to both qualify and understand not just historical events, but also their effects on history as a whole. In the past, India was ruled by kings who fought battles and whose actions directly affected the life of the common people. In other words, their fate lay in the king's hands. Thus, dates began to be associated with important events like the crowning of a king, his marriage, the birth of his first child, the battles he fought, his death, and the crowning of the next king.
I hope this you are understanding that we are focusing on the history of a particular emperor because his life was more important. But in the present contemporary times, the new historians have started writing books on the lives of people also. Earlier, more focus was on the life of the emperor and how he ruled. Okay? I hope this is clear to everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
A new set of dates related to our independence movement, like the date of the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, Dundee March, and other such events gained importance in our recent past. History is a subjective study of events that occurred in the past. For example, in the year 1782, when Robert Clive asked James Rennell to create paintings on India, he drew this picture, which suggests that the Indians willingly handed over their ancient texts to the British and requested them to protect the Indian culture.
Beta, I will be elaborating on this picture again because this is in your lesson also. We will talk about it in detail in the next class. This specific picture, here is a Brahmin. He is giving the religious books to the foreigner. So we will talk about it in the next class.
This was the British interpretation. The fact, however, is that the Indian rulers were never happy with the British rule and fought a number of wars to protect their kingdom from being taken over by the British. These were given due importance in Indian rulers' chronicles of events.
Children, it's also about how we interpret a particular event. For example, it's more like looking at a painting. All of you may look at a painting from a different angle, and you may develop a specific perspective. So similarly, we look at the events in history from our own perspective and bias. So that affects our interpretation of history. Okay, so that will also, we will discuss this in the next class.
Thus, we see that each historian has a different perspective to an event, and as such, each account of an event is true from that particular person's point of view. According to British historians, history of British Raj in India is all about the lives of the different Governor-Generals of India. It begins with the first Governor-General, Warren Hastings, and ends with Lord Mountbatten, the last Viceroy. Whereas an Indian historian, focused on India's development under the British Raj, will write about the lives of the common people, their means of livelihood, the food they ate, the clothes they wore, and continue with the changes in social norms. This account will be very different from the one written by the British historians.
I hope this is clear to you. A British historian, when he is writing about history, he may talk about Indians as uncivilized society. But on the other hand, if you look from a Indian historian's point of view, because you know you are closer to your own native people, so you will not write history in that manner. So this shows how historians, every person may interpret history in their own way and how they can be biased in writing history.
However, both these views on history are correct. It's just that the events were looked at from different angles. To help us shape a story as close to the truth as possible, we refer multiple records containing different perspectives. As we obtain more information, new dates will gain significance and old dates will no longer be significant. However, to make sense of the events and to maintain a record of the sequence in which they occur,